Stop. Look at your phone. Look at the silence on the screen. Feel the weight of it. Notice how your chest tightens, how your mind starts manufacturing scenarios, how your fingers itch to send another message just to break the tension. She hasn't replied. The dynamic shifted, and you did not even feel it happen. One moment you felt secure, the next you are negotiating with your own anxiety. This is where most men lose. Not in the argument. Not in the competition. But in the silence. You have been conditioned to believe that if you are kind enough, available enough, supportive enough, you will secure loyalty. You have been taught that love is a transaction of goodness. That if you give your heart generously, she is morally obligated to guard it carefully. But reality does not operate on moral fantasies. Look around you. The agreeable men are overlooked. The endlessly accommodating men are categorized as safe but uninspiring. The man who would do anything for her is often the man she respects the least. Why? Because human nature does not revere what is guaranteed. Psychology does not reward over-availability. Desire is not built on comfort alone. It is built on tension, contrast, polarity. History has always revealed a darker truth about human behavior. In The Prince, Niccolò Machiavelli articulated something most people are too polite to admit. Human beings are ungrateful, inconsistent, and driven by self-interest. Power is not handed to the virtuous. It is claimed by the strategic. Romance is not exempt from this law. The same psychological mechanics that govern courts and kingdoms govern modern relationships. The battlefield has changed. The instincts have not. You are here because you are tired of being reactive. Tired of decoding mixed signals. Tired of feeling like you are auditioning for a role in someone else's story. You see other men command attention effortlessly while you labor for crumbs of validation. You assumed the difference was looks, money, or luck. It is none of those. It is frame. The invisible structure of how you perceive yourself and how you allow others to perceive you. Before you attempt to influence anyone else, you must conduct an autopsy on the version of you that keeps losing. The agreeable persona. The conflict-avoidant pleaser. The man who believes proximity equals value. The first principle you must internalize is the economy of absence. Scarcity creates value. This is not romance. This is economics. If something is everywhere, it is cheap. If something is rare, it is pursued. Right now, you are abundant. You respond instantly. You rearrange your schedule at the slightest hint of interest. You believe this communicates devotion. Psychologically, it communicates low leverage. Familiarity dissolves mystique. When you are constantly present, you eliminate imagination. And imagination is the most powerful amplifier of attraction. When you are absent, her mind must fill in the blanks. She wonders what you are building, who you are with, whether you are thinking about her. In that uncertainty, she constructs a heightened version of you. Often, that imagined version is more compelling than reality. Calculated absence is not childish withdrawal. It is disciplined prioritization. When you are genuinely invested in your mission, your growth, your body, your craft, your network, your absence becomes organic. It is not a tactic. It is a consequence of purpose. There is a distinct difference between pretending to be busy to manipulate attention and being so engaged in your own expansion that attention becomes secondary. One is fragile performance. The other is grounded authority. You must become comfortable with silence. When she takes hours to respond, you do not spiral. You do not double text to soothe your insecurity. You place the phone down and return to building your life. You do not punish with silence. You simply refuse to reward inconsistency with frantic energy. Humans are wired to pursue what retreats and to undervalue what chases. If you constantly run toward her, she must step back to preserve balance. Stop running. Stand firm in your direction. When you move toward your own goals with conviction, curiosity follows you. The second principle is emotional unpredictability. The human brain craves stimulation. Predictability creates comfort, but it also breeds boredom. Intermittent reinforcement, a concept deeply studied in behavioral psychology, is the mechanism that makes uncertainty addictive. When rewards are random, attention intensifies. When outcomes are guaranteed, engagement declines. Most men are emotionally transparent to the point of predictability. If she is distant, they panic. If she is warm, they overflow. If she is critical, they defend. She knows which button triggers which reaction. You become a machine with exposed wiring. There is no mystery left to decode. No complexity left to explore. To command attention, you must expand your emotional range without becoming erratic. Strength and subtlety must coexist. Be capable of warmth, but not enslaved to it. Be capable of detachment, but not defined by it. When your reactions are self-governed rather than externally dictated, you shift the axis of control. You are no longer mirroring her mood. You are maintaining your own climate regardless of her weather. This does not mean cruelty. It means autonomy. When she cannot predict your exact reaction, she must observe more carefully. She must invest cognitive energy to understand you. Attention is the currency of attachment. The moment she is asking herself, "What is he thinking?" you have moved from background noise to psychological presence. The third principle is strategic validation. Every human being longs to be seen beyond the surface. Most men attempt to impress by advertising themselves. They list achievements, possessions, ambitions, as though attraction were a resume review. This often reveals insecurity rather than strength. The alternative approach is to become the mirror. Speak less about yourself. Ask more about her internal world. Not superficial questions, but incisive ones. What drives her fears? What shaped her standards? What contradiction exists between her public persona and private doubts? When you articulate insights about her that others overlook, you create depth. She feels uniquely understood. But understand the leverage in this dynamic. You are the one holding the mirror. When you offer focused attention and then withdraw it, the absence of that reflection is felt. People chase the environments in which they feel most vividly perceived. Validate not just her appearance, but her effort, her complexity, her hidden battles. Psychological intimacy creates attachment more effectively than surface compliments ever could. The fourth principle is the destruction of the pedestal. Cultural narratives have romanticized idealization. Stories, films, and social conditioning often portray women as flawless beings to be worshipped. But worship distorts equality. When you elevate someone beyond human proportion, you simultaneously reduce yourself. If you treat her like royalty while acting like a fan, the dynamic is already unbalanced. Respect cannot exist without parity. When you disagree calmly, when you challenge respectfully, when you tease playfully without malice, you communicate that your perspective has weight. That you are not seeking approval at the expense of authenticity. A woman accustomed to constant agreement will notice the man who is unafraid to express a different view. Not aggressively. Not defensively. Simply firmly. That signals internal security. Take her off the pedestal not to diminish her, but to humanize her. She has flaws, contradictions, imperfections, just as you do. When you see her clearly, without distortion, she senses that you are not intimidated. Respect grows in environments where both individuals stand on equal ground. Stop filtering your thoughts to avoid disapproval. Stop apologizing for occupying space. Standards are not hostility. They are structure. The fifth principle is the authority of silence. Power rarely shouts. In negotiation, the one who rushes to fill every pause often reveals desperation. In conflict, the one who overexplains leaks insecurity. In attraction, oversharing dissolves intrigue. When you narrate your entire history immediately, you become fully decoded. Mystery evaporates. Silence is not emptiness. It is contained energy. When provoked, do not react instantly. Let the moment breathe. Maintain eye contact. Allow discomfort to surface. Most people are unsettled by quiet because it forces self-reflection. When you remain composed without scrambling to justify yourself, you project steadiness. You imply that your identity does not require constant explanation. This does not mean emotional suppression. It means disciplined expression. Speak deliberately. Pause before answering. Let your words land with intention rather than urgency. When you demonstrate that you are evaluating rather than seeking evaluation, the dynamic shifts subtly but decisively. Your presence becomes heavier. Your approval becomes rarer. Rarity increases value. The sixth principle is the willingness to walk away. This is the foundation beneath every other strategy. If you are afraid to lose her, you will unconsciously negotiate from weakness. If you believe she is your only option, you will tolerate behavior that erodes your dignity. True independence is not declared. It is lived. When your life is structured around growth, purpose, friendships, ambition, and internal fulfillment, attachment becomes a preference, not a necessity. The paradox is this: you retain what you are prepared to release. When you cling tightly out of fear, tension increases and attraction decreases. When you hold loosely out of confidence, stability increases and respect deepens. Boundaries are not threats. They are architecture. If disrespect occurs and you calmly remove access, you demonstrate self-respect without drama. That composure communicates more than any speech ever could. Zoom out and observe the pattern. Absence. Emotional autonomy. Strategic validation. Destroying the pedestal. Silence. Walking away. None of these principles are about dominating another human being. They are about mastering yourself. You cannot truly control another person's will. You can only influence conditions. The only domain you can command absolutely is your own mind. Most failures in relationships stem from internal slavery. Slavery to lust. Slavery to validation. Slavery to fear of solitude. When you conquer those impulses, you become internally sovereign. You are no longer chasing reassurance because you generate it. You are no longer begging for attention because your life commands it. Calm becomes your baseline. Direction becomes your anchor. Control is not aggression. It is composure. It is the ability to remain grounded when others fluctuate. When you are the most stable element in the room, others orbit your steadiness. Not because you force them. Because stability is attractive in a chaotic world. Govern your impulses with discipline. Replace desperation with direction. Replace neediness with mission. The transformation is not theatrical. It is internal. The throne you seek is not in someone else's validation. It is in your own self-command. When you stop pleading for significance and start embodying it, dynamics change without announcement. Authority is sensed, not declared. Master yourself relentlessly. Build a life so structured and purposeful that connection becomes an enhancement, not a rescue. When you rule your mind, you no longer chase.